Today, we're remixing the Mona Lisa with a pop art style, with collage, juicy paint drips, and bold color. It's expressive, customizable, and the perfect intro to mixed media arts. Let's go. All right, the first step for our pop art, we're going to be gluing or collaging on these different papers that I found online. And now to glue it onto our canvas, I like to use this thing called matte medium, and I bought mine from Liquitex, but any brand will be fine. So basically I just poured it out right into my bowl, and I'm just gonna be using a normal brush to apply it on my canvas. So the first thing I like to do is place all of my papers onto my canvas for placement before I finalize it with the matte medium. So for me, I know I'm gonna put my Mona Lisa in the center right over here, and I want this newspaper look to be behind it, so I'm gonna place it right there. And then I'm gonna go ahead and place all the different other papers around it, because some of them are gonna show through in the end. Now, if you're interested in these cutouts here, I'm gonna leave a link in the description below for all the ones I gathered online so that you can use it in your art piece as well. Now, once you're happy with the placement, I'm just gonna take some of this matte medium on the back of my brush, and I'm gonna glue it on. I'm gonna take a piece and I'm just going to glue it on the canvas like that. Okay, and then once you have it glued down like that, you're going to take some more matte medium, and you're going to apply it right over top in a really thin layer. And that's going to glue it down right on your canvas. And now we're going to continue that with the rest of the papers. Yeah, I find gluing it on the canvas first works better than gluing it on the back of the paper. So just like that. And then you place it over top, and then just glue it on top. All right, so once your collage is nice and dry to the touch, you want it really like bone dry. You don't want it to be even a little bit wet, because we're gonna be layering on with some paint now. And what I like to do is I like to look at my collage pieces and see which ones really like call out to me and which ones I want to try to keep in the end painting. And then I like to circle them or draw a heart around them. So for example, I really like this word on the back of this girl's leather jacket saying, "The rebel girl in me will never die." So I want to put a nice heart, and it doesn't have to be like a perfect heart. It can be kind of lopsided a little bit too. So this kind of serves as a way for me to mark these things so I know what to avoid in the next step, like not to cover it with paint. But also these like outlines look really nice in the end when you have paints kind of layered around it. It gives it like emphasis. And then finally, I love this "Don't Shush Me" with this like girl kind of sitting on the couch, like don't mess with me. I love that. So with that one, we're going to circle it. So now what I like to do in the next step is I love drip marks. So drip marks is like a quintessential part of many graffiti styles. And I'm gonna show you a really easy way to make drip marks using a Posca paint marker. So I'm just going to move my painting like that and show you what the drip marks look like. So I'm gonna make some starting right there. So you're just gonna pump the marker a few times, and then you're gonna see it just kind of starts flowing. And it's such juicy, like they're really thick, and it really gives a really beautiful impact. So I like to spread that out. And I like to use white too, because white looks really good. Definitely wipe some of that off, but we just wanna get a lot of drips kind of going on there. It just kind of adds to the look. See how funky that already looks? It's so fun. So if you don't have a paint marker, a Posca paint marker, these are like the giant ones, you can also use this acrylic ink. So I'm gonna show you how that works as well. So this one's really liquid as well. So I'm gonna tilt it, and then we'll have some right there. So that one, it's going to be a little bit darker, so it's going to give a nice contrast. So that's another way you can do drip marks. What I'm going to do here is I want to wipe some of it away because this center point here is going to be where my Mona Lisa is on. So we're just going to leave this to dry, and then we're going to come back and do a little bit more layering. All right, once my drip marks are nice and dry, I'm going to use some paints and some stencils, which I grabbed from the dollar store, to continue building out the background before I paint on the Mona Lisa. So I'm just gonna grab my brush, and the first thing I like to do is take some white paint, and I like to water it down so it becomes like a wash or a glaze. So that way I can use it to kind of go over some of these areas to kind of push it more back into the background, so it just kind of blends more into the painting. So when it's nice and watered down, I'll show you right over here. So if I just kind of paint over top, you can still see the picture below, but it kind of recedes it more into the background, which gives it a really cool look. So I like to do that in certain areas. And if you find your paint is too opaque and it's covering a little bit too much, you can always just dab it with a paper towel to bring it back before it dries. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then I'm going to continue on with some stencils and adding a few marks here and there before I paint in the Mona Lisa. So I'm going to put on some nice music for you guys and just keep on painting. I also like to add black as markings into my painting. And one of the easiest markings is X's. X's and even circles or O's. They look really funky in graffiti art. So the reason I like to add black in is because black gives a really beautiful contrast against all the colors. So it's important not to skip this step. Otherwise, you might have like a painting that just feels like there's something missing. And often it's just a little bit of contrast. And you can vary also the sizes of these crisscrosses too. So the colors I like to have in my painting for sure are white, black, red, yellow, and blue, or different variations of those colors, just so we get a nice combination and contrast between all the colors in it. Now once you're happy with the background and it's nice and dry, we're gonna transfer over the Mona Lisa right onto our canvas. So what I have is I have carbon paper, and then I have a printout of the Mona Lisa in a stencil format, and I'm also gonna leave a free download for this printable in the description below. So all I'm gonna do is I'm going to try to center it as best as I can. And I also have put tape between the transfer paper and my stencil so it doesn't move around on me. And then I'm just gonna grab a pencil and I'm gonna trace the outline. All right, once you're done the tracing of your Mona Lisa, you're going to take a paintbrush and some black paint, and you're just going to fill it in. All right, so I'm done painting our beautiful Mona Lisa, and now I'm just gonna add a few words in her dress here just to kind of balance out the bottom of the painting. So I'm just taking a gray paint marker and I'm just going to be writing some meaningful words at the bottom.